Hello everyone and welcome to Sequin Girly Creates. This is a special episode on reviewing your sewing year, and I will review mine with you as well, but also just a general review. So to join in with this episode you need the review sheet that I've shared, which I'll link below, so you might want to go off and get that. You don't have to print it out. You might want to do headings in a notebook. You'll want something to write with, and you might also want the year compass, which I've shared before, because you're very welcome to join along with me as I go through mine. There will be another episode coming up where I do my Make 9 separately, but this is a sort of review of my year/sewing year. If I realise it's going on too long, then I will do a second part, but let's see how we go. You're going to want the remote control or be able to reach to pause, because you may well want to give me a pause as we go along. I'm just going to make sure I've got a pen to hand, because although I've done a lot of mine, I know when I talk to you, other things pop in my head. I'm going to sit to one side because then I can easily put things in here to share with you as well. So let's start with the sewing year review, which is this sheet that I created that you're very welcome to use for free. I'll link it below to the various places you can get it. But as I say, you might just want to do it on a notepad if not. So the first thing I want you to think about is, what are your top accomplishments of the year? Now that might be really hard to think of in your head. So what you might want to do is pause me, scroll back through your photos, go back to your wardrobe, or go back over your Instagram account. It depends on how you like to record yours. Now I like to record mine on Instagram because it's like a visual record for me, and it's always a delight when other people like and comment, but really it's there for me. So I've already done that, but if you haven't, pause me now and go and have a search of your wardrobe or your photos or whatever you do and see, and go right back to January, because it can be really easy to forget some of the things that we've made. 12 months is a very long time in a sewing year. So pause me now. Right, now I would love to hear down below your top accomplishments. I'm going to share with you mine, and I'll put some pictures up, and I'd love you to then tell me yours too. So for me, this year, working out from looking at existing clothes I've got and at YouTube videos, how to create my own twist front dress pattern that then I've made multiple different ways is definitely one of my top accomplishments of the year. If you want to watch that video, I'll link it here, because I go on a journey. There's version 1, which is taking you on the journey, where I'm like, can I do this? And when I start the vlog with you, I don't even know how it's going to turn out. And then there's vlog number 2, which I'll link here, which is, actually I've got this, let me tell you how to do it too. So that is something that I've gone back to time and time again in different types of fabric, different sleeves, different necklines, and I wear a lot as well. So that's definitely a big tick for me. That's something that I will definitely reuse again and again. My next top accomplishment is finding a jumpsuit that works for me. And I was surprised. It is the Scirocco jumpsuit, and I was surprised how out of the packet good the pattern was, because that often doesn't happen, particularly when you're petite. I made a toile, which I was proud of myself for doing, and have now been able to, it's the kind of jumpsuit that you could dress up, dress down, and really varies depending on the fabric you use. My third accomplishment of the year was really making sure I did refashions and reused things that I wasn't using anymore. So from the bag that I made, to joining several skirts together, to making a pair of trousers. Not all my refashions have worked, not all of them will get worn, but it takes practice, and I'm proud of my accomplishment of keeping going with it till I've started to create things that do work for me. One of my friends always says to me, she doesn't always like it when things look too homemade, in that they are clearly a mash of things together. I completely get what she means, but at the same time, I do want to prevent fabric from going into landfill. And if it can't be worn as a piece of clothing as it is anymore, I do want to try and combine it into something. So it's definitely something I'm continuing to pursue and work on. Now, my final accomplishment is actually not a specific sewing project, but it is about sewing, and it's about my collaborations with other people this year. And that goes from working with the lovely Agatha on the Vlogmas tour we recently did, to building a great friendship with Christine, which started quite early on with the Busy Bee Sewing Challenge, where I met other lovely people as well, and creating the virtual social and the in-person one, and the people I have met through all of these different things. So sewing was the key to opening all those doors, and so I feel that it's important for it to be on my sewing year review, but that has been a real highlight of this year for me. I think my final accomplishment, which I'm thinking of right now whilst talking to you, is how I use different types of fabric. When I went into the beginning of this year, I was someone who had a lot of quilting cottons from many years of bag making and sewing and things like that, and had poly cottons because I was finding cheaper fabrics to buy to cut my teeth on, as they say, with sewing. But through this year, learning which fabrics work well for me to wear, which fabrics are my favourite fabrics to sew with, jersey, which fabrics I want for different seasons, and really looking and thinking about that when I'm purchasing fabrics. That's been a big part of my accomplishments this year, and that also goes alongside the fact that I had the 3 months or 4 month fabric ban, which was there to force me, I did it to think about what I was buying and whether I was buying plains or whether I was just getting distracted by lovely things. So that is definitely up there with my accomplishments. So the next one that is similar-ish but is highlights. So you might want to pause now and think what your biggest highlights are, and I will then tell you mine. So pause me now and have a time to think. So my highlights are centered a little bit around the fact that I set up this vlog in May, but my first one is the amount of people I've interacted with and met this year. I have made friends with people that I wouldn't have done without this. I have met gorgeous people who've given me brilliant advice and brilliant encouragement, and that is a real highlight for me, is people, and really knowing there's people I can ask for help for, ask questions of, that people will give advice, that I can go shopping with other people to buy fabric, that we laugh together, we commiserate together. It's just been massive for me this year. Now, if that's something that you would like and hasn't happened for you yet, you don't have to start a vlog for that to happen. Come along to one of my real or virtual socials. I am thinking about next year, and I want to put in here, start doing, is helping people to link up to build sewing friends. So one of the things I'm going to do through the virtual social is offer to set up like sewing pen pals and things like that. So it's something I want to keep going with. Another highlight for me this year was finding a really gorgeous in-person fabric shop that I don't have to travel a long way to go to. And if you don't know, that is JB Fabrics in Slough. I have no affiliation with them other than they're lovely people. I love their fabric choice, and they've just been really kind in the way, like when I've said we do a fabric shopping trip and things like that. And then my other highlight for this year has been the response from all of you lovely people out there to my ideas. I am someone whose head is always full of ideas, and this year the encouragement you've given me to get going with those and to do things, and to tell me what you would like from me, because my brain is full and it's channeling that, and I love the response I get to all the different things I do, from whether it's a virtual social to a giveaway to whatever it is. I have been absolutely delighted with the interactions and comments and all of those sorts of things. Don't forget to tell me your highlight below as well. Right, setback. So this is the hard soul searching bit, the bit that you might not have a photo of, the bit that you might not even know where it is. But pause me while you have a think about what have been the things that have set you back this year on your sewing journey. Okay, so for me, a big setback has been still not finding the summer dress pattern of my dreams. It is one of the things that got me sewing again in the first place, was wanting to sew. There's a lovely lady on Instagram called Erica Davies who is like a style advice person. She writes books, she's done collaborations with John Lewis in boots and coat designs, and she always has this gorgeous summer dress collection which she buys from a lot of independent people, but they are beyond my budget, and that's what kick-started me 2 years ago to start sewing, is to create my own lovely summer throw-on dress collection. Still haven't managed it. So 2024 is the year. So that has been disheartening, I have to say, but it has been tempered with finding other things like the jersey dress instead. But part of that was I sewed a pattern that I really hoped, and I'll put it here, that would be one of them, and I didn't twirl it. I know. And I used one of my gorgeous vintage fabrics that's like a vintage sheet, but I decided I had to let it go, and it's gone to another home for somebody who will hopefully be able to tweak it slightly, wear it and enjoy it. And that was part of the process a month or so ago, is I realised I've got to let it go. There's no point in sitting in my whip or sitting there thinking I'm going to make it work, because I'm not going to, and I needed to let that go. It looked fine with the yellow cardigan over the top, I put it there, but I just knew I was not going to pick up and put it on. So I will try again. The closest I got was the fabric that I got from Minerva, which was my first patina blouse hack dress, which I put here. It still feels a bit formal for what I'm looking for, but it was close. It was nearly there. And I will just keep going. Do tell me what your setback was, don't forget below. And when you write your comments, you can tell me one of each of these if you like. I'd love that. I'd love to read them. So, things I've learnt. I could go on and on and on about this, and I'm sure you could too, but take a minute to think about the top things you've learned and jot them down, pause me, and then come back. Right, so top things I've learned. How to not be frightened of an invisible zip. Thank you to Rachel of Stitched Up, because her tutorial was the final crack push that did it. I have done zips before, by the way, but that was the one that helped me to love putting in an invisible zip. I've learned that batch cutting is my friend and works really well for me and helps me not get paralysis and in too much of a pickle. She says, looking around the room at the moment. I have learned how to use my gathering foot on my overlocker, which I'm really happy about. And also, I've learned more about why it is worth doing adjustments, such as the full bum adjustment and the narrow shoulder adjustment. I've always known, and I did in the past, do like a full bust adjustment and things. And although I knew what the point was, now I get it in terms of how the clothes feel on my body. So they are the top things I've learned this year. I could list loads and loads more, but they're the top ones for me. So don't forget to let me know yours. Things I would do differently. So pause now and have a good think about, what would you change about the way you do things? Sorry, I always get yawny when I talk to you. It must be like to do with oxygen or something. So pause me and have a hard think about what you're going to do differently. Okay, so for me, first thing is more work on finishing things on the inside as I go along, because some patterns tell you to, and I do. Sometimes it's a toile, so I don't, and then I end up it's a wearable toile, and then I haven't. And other times I just rush to get finished. So I'm definitely going to put more effort in during the process to finishing things on the inside and enjoying the way I finish things on the inside. And I always see these lovely like bias bound inside bits, and I don't do it. I need to get the joy in that. I really hate using bias binding. Plan even further ahead, because I'm still not sewing for the season till I get to the season. Now, I used to be really good when I was a shopper at buying ahead for future seasons, and I'm not there yet with my sewing, probably because I'm very influenced by what's happening on Instagram and YouTube as it happens. But this year coming, I want to plan further ahead so that things feel even more thought through and even more. That doesn't mean I don't allow space for extras, but I want to do that. And the last one, which comes from the vlog I made about high street versus handmade costings, is I want to buy more fabric in person, so I know what I'm buying is absolutely the quality that I want it to be, and also buying better quality fabric so that when I'm not toiling, I know that the fabric I've got is really good and will really hold up. So what would you do differently now? Right, the next ones are the start doing things, stop doing things, and continue doing things. So I understand you may not want to put all of these in the comments, but I would love to hear. So what I want you to do is you could take a photo of your whole thing and share it with me on Instagram, tag me if you like. I want you to take a minute to think about, what will I start doing now that I've not ever done before? It might be small, it might be big. I want you to think about, what am I doing that I need to stop? And also, what am I doing that I must carry on doing? So that's that start, stop, continue. I'm pretty sure some of you in business have used this. I much prefer it with sewing. It's much more fun, isn't it? So pause me and do it. Sorry, I forgot to tell you to pause there. This reminds me of many years ago when I was a teacher. We used to use these cassette tapes of mental maths challenges, and it used to say, "Teacher, pause now." I forgot about that till then. Right, okay. So pause me and then come back. So let's start. Things I'm going to start doing is labelling better, from putting labels in my clothes to labelling patterns to labelling pockets, just labelling in general. I'm going to start planning ahead more, and I said that in my things to do differently was plan further ahead, so I'm going to start that from now. I'm going to start planning ahead, and also going to start doing helping people link up to make sewing friends. Stopping. Right, I'm going to stop buying without a plan. I've already touched on that, but I'm going to stop doing that as almost to zero now. So I know there'll be the odd occasional impulse purchase, but I want to make sure that in 2024, almost everything I buy is knowing what I will sew with it, and that will fit with the planning ahead, because if I know that when I get to summer I want to make some t-shirts, that means when I'm looking at fabrics, if I then see a nice t-shirt fabric, I can buy that knowing that will fit with the I'm going to sew a t-shirt. It doesn't mean I have to know what the pattern is, but I know I want t-shirts in my wardrobe. And that means I should review my wardrobe to see what gaps are, like I used to do when I would buy clothes. I'm going to stop leaving hems and sleeves unfinished. There is a box on the top of this wardrobe which is full of unfinished projects that all they need is a sleeve or a hem done, and I'm not wearing it because of that. So I'm going to stop that, and I'm going to make sure that I don't go on to the next thing or stuff it to one side until I have done that. I am going to stop printing PDFs of more than 10 pages to print and stick together. because I'm planning ahead more, I should be able to get those things printed more, because then I'm being less impulsive about my sewing. Gonna try. Yeah, if it's bigger than 10 pages, I'm not sticking it together anymore because it drives me nuts. And I am going to stop piling up these whips of sleeves and hems that aren't done, because the poor clothes are not getting worn in the season that I sewed them for. Last of all, what am I going to continue doing? I'm going to continue with my community building. I'm going to continue batch cutting, and I'm going to continue with the review style and the realistic about what do I really wear versus what do I wish I would wear. I'm also going to continue with my refashions and just interacting with you lovely people. Right, we're on to the final one. Now, hopefully all of that thinking will have got you to the point where you know what you want to prioritise for next year. So pause me now and really look back over everything you've written for yourself and think, so what is it next year that are my top priorities? It might be specific patterns, it might be a specific thing or way of working, but pause me, make some notes, and then come back. Okay, so my next year's priorities are to finally sew the Zadie jumpsuit. That is a specific pattern on there because the whole of this year I've wanted to do it and didn't get round to it. And I think it's because I know I'm probably going to need to do a sway back, so I keep putting it off. I'm going to sew next year as a priority a proper coat. I've never done one of those. I've done like the jackets and things, but a full-on proper coat pattern. I think that would be really good for me to do that. I'm going to perfect this summer dress that I can then do in lots of different fabrics and tweaks and so on. So that's definitely on my list. And also something that I've mentioned this year that I'm putting on, because I'm going to keep working on that as we go into January, is have a go-to pattern for a long sleeve winter top. So I have quite a good selection of go-to patterns now for different things, but not that one yet. So they are my priorities for next year. There's lots of continues in terms of the community and the things I'm doing, but they're my specific top things to really focus on for next year. Interesting. Well, I hope you enjoyed hearing mine. I would love to see yours. I'm looking at the time and that's already taken 20 minutes. So I'm going to do the year compass and just all-round review as a separate vlog, because then you can hear me doing even more reflection another time. Probably going to have the same jumper on though, so don't be surprised if you see that one. And by the way, it does say ho ho ho, not just ho. So I'll catch you soon for the next one.